Well, I'm on the right side, so they can make use of the long-range jump kick, and I can make use of the Shao Kahn phase-through glitch. Those don't exist on player one side.
Round one, fight.
Yo, Abaddon, what's up? Fucking hell. Now I'm muffing up this strat. Is there a difference between playing P1 and P2 for characters? Yes, Haslan. There's very big differences. The AI plays completely different whether you play on player one side or player two side. Some characters are better on player one side and some characters are better on player two side. Yeah. There are different exploits, and the different exploits to use on player one side or player two side, and whether or not a character can take advantage of them. You always play player 2 or Sub-Zero. As an amateur, generally you'd probably want to play as player 1. So, the strat that we generally use from player 2 side is this. Okay, well, unfortunately, being round 1, it makes it very difficult to demonstrate. But if I jump kick in a very specific way like this, he can't block. And I can jump kick twice. I can actually go infinite with it, but unfortunately I'll actually go over him on the next one. The other thing that you can do on player 2 side only, which I think you probably might know about this one, is this. The infinite walk exploit. When we infinite walk, he'll walk forever. However, when he stops walking, yeah, you know that. Yeah, this one is a commonly known one. So when he stops walking, when I move back and he stops walking, he'll immediately do a projectile after like exactly 1 second, and then you can punish. Which I'm assuming is the strat you know about. But yeah, on revision 2.1 and 2.0, there's the additional jump kick exploit. This does not exist on 3.1 and 3.0, which means you may not know about it or have been able to access it. So in the speedrun, we're allowed to use any official revision that was ever released. Since we have access to all the ROMs, and if you had access to an actual arcade board, you could burn the ROMs yourself if you wanted to.
Round one, fight.
You know what Steppy into? I don't know. That is actually a really good question. I mean, it's not really a matter of how the fuck did they program it, it's more like why did they program it. Why was it made so that the AI recognizes player one side or player two side differently? I'm not sure. It may have been intentional. It may legitimately have been intentional. I've come up with a couple of theories. One of my theories is because the game in the arcades was PvP, you would probably observe somebody playing a certain way and think that you could reproduce the strategies they're using, and then you could play against them, try to beat them, and then use the strats they were using, and then find out they don't work because they don't work on player two side, and you're like, what happened? Now I've got to put more money in. That could be why. I don't know. That's kind of an airy-fairy idea that I came up with. Don't know if it's true or not. Maybe the move commands doesn't just mirror for combos in AI. No. The move commands absolutely do. So I'm not sure what you mean. The move commands doesn't just mirror for combos. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Well, I immediately thought the AI is coding in a way. Well, the thing is, there's no reason for it to, because when you think about it, if you jump over them and you wind up on the other side, that doesn't count. No, but yeah, the thing is, it doesn't work that way, because if you start on player 2 side and you jump over them, the exploits are still same if you're on player 2 side. So you can still use the infinite walk exploit in the other direction if you're on the left side if you jump over them. So the exploits and everything, they all do mirror. They 100% do mirror. We know that for sure, because yeah, if you jump over them, the AI stays the same. It doesn't change when you jump over them. Can you give one-to-one character examples for who prefers play 1, play 2? Okay, so first of all, starting off with the main original run, the high punch trick run with Shang Tsung, is here. So, the original run that we used to do... So let's just go back in time for a little bit. When I joined the leaderboard in 2018, everybody was doing Shang Tsung high punch trick runs. We had the high punch trick had already been discovered. I'm not sure who discovered it. I think it was Parallax. I'm not 100% sure. But that was the main world record strategy for the run, and that was it. And we didn't have multiple... We didn't have individual character categories. We didn't have no high punch trick. It was just that. And that was done on player one side. So the main player one side strategy is the jump back exploit, which is a well-known strategy for player one side. Similar to the infinite walk, it's got to be on very hard to get this strat to work. Right? At first there was chaos. Happy Camper, what's up, dude? So this strat here, see how he jumps in? Right, I'm gonna have to get him to throw me over. I want to get him close and then jump in. See how he jumps in? Right, that is what we call the jump back exploit. You get him to, he's really close, you jump back, and then he'll jump in and you can punish. That is the other well-known exploit. So this only works on player one side consistently. It technically does work on player two side, but not in the same way. Because they have a large chance to do a vertical jump kick instead of a jump forward. You can force a jump back exploit on player two side as well, if you get them locked into like a sweep or a projectile before you jump back. It's kind of very tricky. But on player one side, it's far more consistent, and that leads us to the high punch trick, which hopefully I can just do it now. Right, and that's the Shang Tsung run. And back when I joined, all the people in the speedrun community didn't really know much more than that. I mean, we had some ideas about stuff, but for the most of the part, that was the only thing we knew, is the jump back exploit. Playing from player two side was largely seen as much harder and for no reason to doing it whatsoever. All right. Then, and around 2020, we opened up the no high punch trick category, and at that point in time, before that, I should actually go back a little bit earlier than that. So before I joined, before high punch trick was discovered, Jax was the world record. He was using player one side as well. And Jax uses the Jax backbreaker. Similarly to Shang Tsung, we jump back exploit, but then we jump kick, backbreak. Right, and we just repeat that over and over. Unfortunately, player one being round one. Yeah. And this strat just will not work on player two side. Like, it's very, very difficult to get that working on player two side. It has to be player one side to make this work. Right. And that's the route for Jax. So you got two characters there. Shang Tsung high punch trick, Jax player one side. They're both player one side characters. Now fast forward a little bit. In 2020, we opened up the no high punch trick category. Obviously, no high punch trick, so Shang Tsung's high punch trick was banned. So we went back to Jax, right? Jax had the world record for no high punch trick at that point in time. I beat it using Reptile on player one side. Now we'll come back to Reptile in a bit, because Reptile is actually a player two side character now. But the strats I used to beat the Jax world record that Heat Gaming had at the time was similar to what it is now, except I used jump back exploit to do the same thing. So I was able to go jump kick, and then go into force ball, jump kick, and we go force ball trade like we do on player two side now. So the idea is to just start the force ball trading using a jump back exploit instead of what I do now using the jump kicks. Alright, so unfortunately, there we go. Well, as you can see, it's kind of a little bit clunky. You know, there's some problems, which we'll get to. But yeah, that's more or less the Reptile route. There are some more funky things about the Reptile to get into later, but that's when things started to get a little bit different. We just found the first no high punch trick character that wasn't Jax. It got beaten back by Jax again, right? When Speed came onto the leaderboards back in 2020. Might have been 2021 by that time. Between late 2020 and 2021, Jax Speed came on. He played Jax, and Parallax came on as well. Speed and Parallax both came on and pushed the Jax world record down. Now, round about this time, the guy who had world record for no high punch streak, Heat Gaming, with Jax that I had beaten with Reptile, and I got that time down to 8:24. He was going and playing all the other categories, and he found out that the PlayStation version of Mortal Kombat 2 did not have the jump back exploit. And we didn't really know how to use the Infinite Walk exploit. In fact, I'm not even sure if Infinite Walk exists on that either. But also, we didn't have a no high punch streak category for PlayStation. Even though we had it for arcade, we didn't have it for PlayStation because PlayStation was kind of like an obscure category. No one was really running it. Heat Gaming decided because he was going to run all the categories, and he wound up running PlayStation, and he submitted a run where he used Shang Tsung to just spam fireballs and it was really slow. And I said, well, what's up with PlayStation? I asked him, what's up with PlayStation? Why aren't you just using high punch streak? And he said, high punch streak doesn't work because they don't jump back. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I went and took a look, and knowing that there was no high punch streak on there, I tried using the Reptile strats. It just kind of didn't work either. The AI on Mortal Kombat 2 PlayStation is way, way, way different. For whatever reason, we don't know why, but way, way different. But I came up with a strat using Mileena. Alright? Now, this didn't work the same on arcade as I tried this strat on arcade, and it didn't work immediately. There was a thing about it. But what it ended up being, right, is you could use Mileena to go infinite with jump kick, roll ball, jump kick. And so we did this, right? And then we could go infinite. And this was on PlayStation, right? This was on PlayStation. And for some reason, this turned out to be the fastest route for PlayStation and still is the current world record for PlayStation. Mileena is the fastest character on Mortal Kombat 2 PlayStation currently, as far as we know. Now, I went and tried to use this. You just saw me do it perfectly here on arcade. I went to try and do it on arcade and it didn't work. And so I was like, oh. But then at one point it did work. So at the start out it was like this, you know, I was just, oh, I'm going to try and do it, right? Jump kick, and then, oh, it didn't work, okay. Didn't quite work. I got jump kicked, got blocked, I don't know what's going on. Okay. And then I just did it, and then all of a sudden it worked. I was like, what's going on? And it took me a while to figure it out. But there is a special exploit, and it's specifically in revision 2.0 and 2.1. That's what they call the Limp Biscuit method, right? But there is a specific little glitch, whether it's a glitch or an exploit, whatever, but it's in revision 2.0 and 2.1, where if you jump kick them in a very specific way, it disables the AI blocking. Like, not only do they can't block the jump kick, they can't block until they get up again. So you can keep hitting them over and over and over again. You can go infinite, just like I was on PlayStation. It works differently than it does on PlayStation, but it pretty much inspired me to find the same strat on arcade. And the idea is, oh fuck it, of course he had to. You see, I could jump kick in there because I knew he wasn't going to block. The idea is you need to be at a long range, and you need to jump kick when you're at the peak of your jump, and you need to hit them when they're at the chin or lower with your foot. So it's kind of, you need to be at long range, you need to set it up so that your range is perfect, jump kick at a very specific point, and if you just get that first jump kick correct, the rest of it just falls in line. Okay, see how that range was not correct. So we've got to push him away, jump kick, there it is. So, the thing is, this strategy only worked on player 2 side. So you can see if I try this on player 1 side, it's not going to be the same. You might get a couple of jump kicks, but they're going to start blocking, they're going to do roundhouses, and they're going to jump away. Check this out. Let's see if this works. See? Blocks. And I did it exactly the same way. Projectiles. Yeah, blocked instantly. Player 2 side only. Does not work on player 1 side. So, knowing that Mileena's got that nice little jump kick, I thought, you know, what about Kitana? Now, the funny thing is, I saw a really cool video on YouTube about Kitana doing like a 93 flawless against the AI, just doing jump kick, fan jump kick over and over. But it was on 3.1 and it involves an RNG. It is technically possible, but it involves RNG. But I thought back to that video and I thought, okay, what happens if I try that? What happens if I try that? Let's get the range, get the range, get the range. There we go. Yes. And so what happened, right? Let's go back to what was happening on No High Punch Trick with Speed and Parallax and Heat Gaming. Speed retook the world record with Jax, and I retook it with Mileena. And then Speed retook it with Mileena, and you know, I went to him and I said, Mileena's really good, but Kitana's faster. And then I took it with Kitana, and then the whole shit just came crumbling down. Everybody started running Kitana for Mortal Kombat II No High Punch Trick. And now Kitana is actually the fastest character. So that is kind of the history of how No High Punch Trick converged off and got to where it is now. But that leaves all of the other individual characters, right? So we also had individual character leaderboards. So we went to try to discover, you know, what's best for all of the characters. So I can't remember how everything came together because that's kind of like the bulk of the history. Yeah, and then Reeve drove those times down to nuts levels. So I'll just go over it very quickly. So Kung Lao I'll come back to because he's kind of funky. Johnny Cage can be due from... Why is this history lesson entertaining? I don't know, Antpo. Because I enjoy it. Like I was there for it, and it's something I'm passionate about. Johnny Cage is an interesting one because he can be done on either side. But the thing is, right, his nut punch strategies, which are the main route for this with this speedrun. Oops, didn't want to do that. They work on whether you're on player one side or player two side, right? However, the question is, what do you do against the characters you can't nut punch? So against Sub-Zero, we're fine doing this. Hopefully this works, yeah. That works fine against Johnny Cage. But what am I going to do against Kitana? Because I can't do that. Well, there's a couple of options. Let's just finish him off. The Cage straight is nuts. Unfortunately, there's some RNG with with round one. It is what it is. So now I'm on... Okay, so actually you can't really nut punch on Johnny Cage as well. So here you've got two options. You could be playing on play two side, and you can do kind of like I did with Kitana. You can go jump kick, shadow kick, and then do that repeatedly. Or on player one side, you can do a jump back exploit into punches and shadow kick. Ah, come on. Hey, no problems, Lightus. Hope you have a good... hope your test goes well. But yeah, so that is Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is... You can kind of run him on both sides. I think world record... my best run with him is done on player 2 side, and I'm pretty sure world record was also done on player 2 side. It's just a question of how you want to do everybody you can't nut punch. He can nut punch most of the opponents, but not all of them. You can't do it against Johnny Cage because for whatever reason he just gets thrown. Same with Baraka, but he can do it against Raiden, he can do it against all the male ninjas, he can do it against Jax, he can do it against Liu Kang and Kung Lao, you can't do it against Shang Tsung. Once again, you get thrown for some reason. So there's about 5 characters that you need to figure out how you're going to deal with, and it's whether or not you use player 1 side or player 2 side. They're fairly even, both of those strategies. Reptile we kind of already covered, except... I'll just explain. Reptile evolved later into using player 2 side instead. So instead of doing a jump back exploit to set up the force ball chain, you would jump away and then get one jump kick and then go into force balls. And this turned out to be a little bit faster and a little bit more consistent. Especially since the jump kick exploit is way more consistent than the jump back exploit. One jump kick and then we go straight into force balls. He can, but the AI will throw you. Crazy hardcore. He can nut punch both Shang Tsung and Baraka and himself, actually. But the AI, for some reason, which I don't really understand why, is they just throw you out of it. You can't get him the same way you can get Raiden and Jax. Right, so Sub-Zero, which you saw me doing already, I'll come back to him. We've covered Shang Tsung mostly, Jax, Mileena. Baraka is kind of still up in the air. What makes R1 so special? What do you mean R1? Oh, round 1. Right, so round 1, fight 1. So here's the thing, right? We set the difficulty to hardest so that it becomes more exploitable. So all of the exploits, like the the jump back exploit, the infinite walk exploit, even the long range jump kick exploit, they are at their peak responsiveness when the AI is on the hardest difficulty. So we set the difficulty to hardest in the main menu, like in the service menu, but it doesn't start on the hardest difficulty. So let's say that the difficult, in the service menu, even the service menu, sorry, you can see here, right? We have difficulty 1 very easy, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 very hard. That's not the real internal difficulty though. The real internal difficulty I think goes 1 to 10, and setting it to 5 makes it start at I think 8. Right, so changing your difficulty here just changes what the difficulty starts at. It doesn't change what the actual difficulty of the game would be throughout the entire run. So if you started at 1, the difficulty starts on 1 and then it goes up to 2 the next fight, and then 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then so on until it reaches very hard anyway. Regardless of what difficulty you set it on, you will get to very hard before you get to the final boss. That I'm most familiar from RTS games, yeah. Well, it's applicable here in arcade. It's pretty common in arcade games as well. But this is why we set it to very hard. We eventually had it a rule. Well, I mean, we do. It is actually a rule to have it on very hard. But since we find out that this is the way that the AI behaves, and it's more actually consistent on very hard, we want it to be on very hard. Very hard is actually much easier to speedrun than very easy, because very easy leaves the AI passive, makes it block more often, and it gives you a higher RNG variable. It doesn't respond to your moves the way you want it to. Putting it on very hard means that you can control the AI, so that's why you want it on very hard. So yes, we wanted on. The reason why round 1 is so special, and round 2 technically as well, is because round 1 and round 2 is not on very hard, even if you select it very hard. It's on like just 2 notches below. And so you got to fade the RNG of round 1 and round 2 to get a run started at all. You got to hope that everything goes according to plan. Woof. So Baraka is kind of a weird one. Baraka is one of the least developed characters, developed speedruns. I believe world record with world record by speed used player 2 side. Pretty much just abusing this jump kick sweep. Baraka is kind of one of the least interesting characters in my opinion. Because of this aspect, this is kind of the optimal route. However, Outworld, another runner who was doing Baraka, had some strategies on player 1 side, where he, I believe, he came up with a strat using player 1 side Baraka, where he does jump back into punches and then does a spark at the end of it. So he goes like this. I fucked it up. But yeah, you can see that. That's basically it. You just do that twice, and then you need one more hit. Doing something with Baraka 1. Yeah, so... There you go. There's an 86. So that's actually a pretty good route as well. Right, so... Scorpion's an interesting one. I myself kind of started the Scorpion trend. I was originally doing death punches on player 1 side. That's kind of not quite good enough. That's what I want to do. So this kind of had potential, but it just was not quite good enough. So you can see you're only getting a 70 here. But we kind of did expand this strategy a little bit into using this, which is a really cool looking strat, but again, unfortunately, relying on the jump kick exploit, and we get an 81 out of that. It's still kind of mediocre. But
Fatality.
Life or Ren, thank you so much for the Prime sub. But we took it to player 2 side, and we came up with something better. So now we're going to use the long range jump kick with Scorpion. Unfortunately, I kind of fucked that up. Seriously? He's got... Okay. This is the round 1 AI bullshit. So, I'm trying to jump kick in a very specific way that will enable me to get the perfect route. There it is. Okay. And there you go. And there you get an 87 with a hit. And that is one of the fastest things you can do. That's one of the fastest things you can do with Scorpion. It works similarly with Mileena. What, really? Yeah. So, once again, long range jump kick comes to the rescue, is better for Scorpion. Alright, so Raiden. Raiden's kind of cool. He's using the long range jump kick as well. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to long range jump kick into the torpedo. Kind of didn't quite get that right. There we go, now we got it. And then when we get to the corner, when we get into the corner, when we get pushed off him, he'll often do a projectile. And we can kind of loop him there. Unfortunately. And then when that doesn't work, we fall back to the long range jump kick. So Raiden's kind of a weird one, but that's currently the best strat that we've got. I kind of did it fairly poorly. We'll try it again here. See how we go. There we go. That's more or less what we're looking for. And coming back to Reptile, around this time we started to experiment. Well, actually, I already explained that, didn't I? Because I was thinking about what we did with Scorpion. And Reptile, we're doing the same thing. We get the long range jump kick as well. And we go into the forcible trade. Yeah, I did already explain that. Now here's the thing, right? So that leaves us with Sub-Zero and Liu Kang. Sub-Zero, by default, we tried him on player 1 side, tried him on player 2 side. He's just really, really slow, right? Now, by default, he has the floor freeze, and he's got the normal freeze as well. But the normal freeze is kind of garbage. It doesn't quite work. You can see, just getting things to connect in general. And we get 70s. Parallax discovered that you can do the deep freeze fatality on revision 2.0 as an actual move in the game. So this is straight up a glitch. It is allowed. It only really applies to Sub-Zero, and there's like nothing better you can do with Sub-Zero, so why not allow it? So if you can actually do a different kind of freeze. If it fucking works. There we go. There you go. And that's the first half of the deep freeze fatality. Unfortunately, you can't do the second half. That would be insane if you could just straight up fatality people. But this freeze is super overpowered because it's unblockable. The AI does not react to it. Like it reacts by doing a projectile or whatever, but it just cannot block the actual freeze. Works during fatality time 2 and resets it. Even with glitches, he's still slow. Well, that's just it. This is now the fastest route. Now, I believe Parallax was doing something along the lines of, just uppercut, slide, deep freeze, punches. I can't remember his actual route. Something like that, right? And he had the world record for a good while until just recently Anonymanu overtook him, using the deep freeze a little bit differently. He started out just doing this. As you see, there's an 83. That's not too bad. And then Bad used Nate, current world record holder, and just sort of extended the strategy a little bit into punch, 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 slide. And I was talking to him after he posted his world record. After I saw what he did, I actually thought, surely you can do something better, right? Not good enough to get sub 89s, right? So I was looking at what he was doing, and I was like, surely I can do something better. So I started trying to think about what I could do, and I remembered something that Reeve came up with on the world record for high punch trick on Shang Tsung. Well, actually, it wasn't Reeve that came up with it. He implemented it perfectly. I believe Jap originally came up with the strategy. I don't know. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm not sure actually who came up with it. I don't want to give the wrong person credit. But if you remember the high punch trick that I showed earlier, one of the world record routes for a high punch trick is to cancel the last 3 punches into a standing high kick instead. So whenever you're doing high punches repeatedly, you can combo into a high kick at the end of it, and it does a lot more damage. And that is what I decided to try to do here. And unfortunately, I got the worst panel to demonstrate it with, but you can do it against Jax. Unfortunately, it's just not triggering for me. There we go. There we go. And that's it. You actually beat the world record once, you just didn't film it, then you don't have a world record, you just got a world. It's not world record if you don't record. Woof. Woof. But you get what I'm trying to show. I was doing it earlier. And that's the Sub-Zero route. That's now the best Sub-Zero route. It can get 88s and 87s if you do it right. Fuck it up. Now the only person I haven't just talked about Kung Lao. Kung Lao is a weird one because Kung Lao has the current strat that I did on world record, and it has a new strat that is kind of ridiculous. So this is what I did. I utilized jump back exploit. Unfortunately, round 1 being round 1. Into jump kick, dive kick. And that's basically what I did for the most of the run. I think it's 2 jump kick, dive kicks, and then yeah, something like that. Now, however, there is kind of a new strat that we sort of came up with that's really kind of funky and hard to do. I'm trying to do it now. Fucking hell. I can't get it now because this is kind of how inconsistent it is. There we go. That. What I just did there. Trying to do it 3 times. Never tried to kind of... He's kind of janky for these reasons that I'm explaining now. There we go. That there. The scissors snap kick, whatever you want to call it. That has potential to be the fastest route. Unfortunately, it is extremely difficult to actually get consistently. As you see, I'm not sure whether or not it's just RNG. But even if you miss a few, you kind of wind up with the same kind of fights that you get using the old strat. As in, it's mechanically hard, the AI can't block it. I'm not actually 100% sure, to tell you the truth, Hassan. See, you've got to bait the AI into punching you when you get when it gets close to you, and you just pretty much respond with a rising vertical jump kick and cancel it immediately into a dive kick. So it's up high kick, down high kick. But you see, sometimes he just blocks and ducks. If you have blocks and ducks, that's not what we want to see. There may be a way to make it 100% consistent. All 3, tight timing, hard AI, and the AI. Yes, pretty much. That's basically it. Hassan. And I don't know whether or not it's just RNG, whether the AI decides to duck, block, or not. I want to believe that there is a way to actually bait it in such a way that it will never do that, but I have yet to discover. So, has potential, could very well be the fastest route. I noticed that Speed himself is currently contending my world record for Kung Lao, and he matched my world record, and he used a combination of the stuff I did before and this new strat that we discovered as well. Now, the last character we have yet to talk about is Liu Kang. Now, Liu Kang is really interesting. Liu Kang cannot do the jump back exploit because he does an air fireball. So if you try to do the jump back exploit with Liu Kang, it just won't work. So every time they'll just do a projectile. They'll never jump forward into him. So you really have to use player 2 side because you want access to the infinite walk, which we already know about, right? It'd be nice to also use the long-range jump kick with Liu Kang. However, he can't really use it consistently because he has such a floaty jump arc. He can never actually time his kicks correctly. Like, you can get it, but... See, you're more likely to just get that. So if I jump back and I try to do the long-range jump kick, you see I'm already too close to him and he teleports. There you go, I got it there. So you can do it, but then you can't really do much with it. But what you can do is you can use the infinite walk. I'll just get it into him. I'll just let him kill him. What's up, Radis? So you can get a huge amount of damage off any projectile. That is basically the route for Liu Kang, is to bait the AI into doing a projectile and then capitalizing on it with jump kick, fireball, and bicycle. And we want to be charging the bicycle the whole time. And now, using revision 2.1, we actually got Liu Kang's time down to like 740 or 752, I think it was, right? Got some semi-kits. Nice, Radis. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. It was only very recently, I think 2 months ago, when Speed came on and he started to take all the world records back. I decided to try revision 3.1 with Liu Kang. And when I did, I found something really interesting. Is that if we play revision 3.1 with Liu Kang, the AI has a much higher chance to go into projectile. And there's a lot more you can do with that with Liu Kang. You're going to have to dedicate the day to the Kitana. Nice. Dude, record some footage and I can tell you what you do right or wrong. So now, remember what I said about, at some point I'm pretty sure I said that for the speedrun you're allowed to choose any revision that you want and whatever is the best is what plays. Because on emulator or on arcade you can actually get access to all the ROMs anyway. So it's just a matter of picking which revision is the right one. But I also found that the AI in 3.1 has a higher chance of doing two things. Has a higher chance of projectiling, as you just saw, and has a high chance of vertical jumping when you jump over it.
Round 2, fight.
Just like that.
Finish it.
And that allows you to do some crazy shit. However, we are relying on a lot of different things. You can see those two rounds were completely different. So now we are basing all of what we do based on how the AI reacts. If it projectiles, if it jumps, does a projectile soon, does a projectile late? Does the bicycle have the same AI reaction as jump kick? No. I'm trying to understand exactly what you mean. It doesn't. You can't get the long range jump kick. So you can't get like a long range bicycle, for example. Right? That doesn't work that way. And you can't actually bicycle in the air like you can a jump kick. So you can only bicycle off the ground, but you can bicycle them when they're in the air. What you can do is what I just showed you there. Like, I'm not sure if you saw it. You can bicycle on them on wake up, which is actually really cool. So there's a lot of neat tricks you can do with Liu Kang. And you can see, so far I've done 3 fights. All 3 of them have been a completely different route. And that's what makes the Liu Kang run really kind of crazy. All the other runs I showed you is literally like, this is the strat, and you do this. Either it works or it doesn't. Liu Kang is, we start off with strat A. If something happens, we go into strat B. If something happens, we go into strat C, strat D, and then sometimes you just make up shit off the fly and do things you've never even seen before. The Liu Kang run is mind-boggling. Yes, exactly, Hastor. And so yeah, it's a real challenge to try and get the perfect rounds with Liu Kang because there's so many different things that can happen, and you've got to memorize so many different ways of dealing with stuff. A lot of it just has to do with the idea of see, now we have to fall into the backup of the infinite walk again. There we go. There's an example of pre-buffering moves like I was saying before. Strat A, B, C, D, and then make shit up. That sounds like me anyway. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's basically, that's all of them, right? We've covered everybody. There's your sort of impromptu how to speedrun everybody in this game. I don't think we've missed anybody. I kind of gloss over Johnny Cage. I probably could have gone deeper there because there's some very interesting stuff with Johnny Cage. Also has some different strats based on who you're playing against. I think everybody has to deal with Sub-Zero differently depending on who you're playing with. I'm on 3.1 now. I can't actually do the deep freeze anymore. But yeah, that's basically it. I can't do it. And see, this is an example of not being able to do the jump back exploit. You see, he does a vertical jump kick instead. Let's make this a YouTube video. All right, I'll have to do something with it. Well, this kind of got lucky though. That's interesting. Alright, that's enough history lesson. Let's fucking run some Mortal Kombat.